Don, and welcome to Drinking Games. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Legend of Zelda for the NES. Now I know what you're thinking. Reviewing a game as universally known as the first Zelda is as redundant as reviewing the original Star Wars trilogy, right? What could I possibly have to say about it that hasn't already been said 100 times? Well, that's the thing. I've never played it before. It's just one of those things that kind of got by me as a kid. I have had to call up my one friend to see if he'd loan me the cart.
Hello.
Hey, what are you doing?
You know what time it is?
It's nighttime. Listen, you used to got that game Legend of Zelda for the original Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
Well, dude, check it out. There's a review contest going on YouTube, and the prizes are friggin' awesome. So, can I borrow it? What do you say?
It's fine. You have really got to take care of it, alright? I've had that since I was a kid.
Don't worry about it, dude. Trust me.
Yeah, sure. I'll bring about a moment.
I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Ah, so there she is. Ah, look at there. It's even got a pretty gold case. You know, ain't it strange that no other NES game except... Oh, Alright, what the hell? Okay, this thing ain't working. Hang on a second.
This better not be you again.
Dude, what are you doing?
Dude, what the
Alright, so check it out. I put the game in, and it just keeps, like, blinking and blinking and blinking.
Then just grab some Q-tips and some alcohol and fucking clean it.
Listen, if
Don't call me again.
Alcohol and Q-tips. Gotcha.
You know, I gotta say, the first thing that really jumps out at me is the title screen is epic in its simplicity. Something about it just draws you in and makes you hesitate to push the start button in expectation of the adventure that lies ahead. It's a good thing, too, because you get to see the backstory and all the items you're expected to find, kind of like a dangling carrot. So to put it simply, many years ago, the evil sorcerer Ganon stole the Triforce of Power, his ultimate goal being to unite the other two pieces, the Triforce of Wisdom and the Triforce of Courage, for the purpose of world domination, of course. Princess Zelda, possessor of the Triforce of Wisdom, fearing Ganon's growing power, split the Triforce into 8 shards and hid them around the land of Hyrule. She was then taken prisoner by Ganon, but not before dispatching her nursemaid Impa to search the land for one brave enough to take on Ganon. I guess it pays to think ahead. So we find ourselves in the boots of Link. As we start the game literally in the middle of nowhere, no hints, no tutorials, no direction, no coddling. This is pure old school gaming. So the obvious thing is to go in the door, and this old man just gives you a wooden sword. You know, I gotta wonder if he's just got a back room full of wooden swords that he gives to anyone who happens to walk in. I don't know. So from the intro, we know 2 things. 1, we gotta find the 8 pieces of the Triforce, and we gotta rescue Princess Zelda.
Zelda, wherefore art thou, Zelda?
Now playing a new play by Will Shakespeare, Romeo and Zelda. Romeo and Zelda?
It's said that the creator Shigeru Miyamoto drew his inspiration from his childhood when he used to wander around and explore on the hillsides of Japan. So that's just what we'll do. Wander and wander and wander and wander. If you explore long enough, you'll eventually begin to encounter clues about where to go and what to do. A lot of it is trial and error. You enter a dungeon only to figure out you need a lamp to light your path, or you find out the enemies are too tough to kill with your current assortment of weapons. One of the reasons the exploring never seems to get old is the legendary soundtrack. Unlike a lot of games where the music just loops over and over and over, slowly driving you insane, the Legend of Zelda overworld music is energetic and inspiring. always driving you forward. And the music in the dungeons is appropriately creepy and gives off a sense of dread, as if to say, proceed with caution. Even without having played this game before, I'm very familiar with the music, and even catch myself humming it occasionally. Although I know many will disagree with me, this almost feels like an open-world sandbox game, Grand Theft Zelda. Sure, you can't go around blowing away hookers. What I mean is that you can go through the game as fast or as slow as you want, explore as much as you want, killing enemies along the way, and when you're ready to take on a mission or a dungeon, you can. But even that doesn't have to be done in a linear order. You can complete each dungeon in the order you desire, with some exceptions. You can do dungeons 1 through 3 pretty much whenever you want, but you can only do 4 after 3 because you need the raft, dungeon 5 after 4 because you need the ladder, dungeons 6 after 1 because you need the bow, and so on and so on. Dungeon 9 has to be done last because that's where the boss fight against Ganon takes place. Each dungeon presents its own unique challenges, chance to use different items, and boss fights. It took me a few minutes to realize you had to feed bombs to the Dodongo. It made me laugh out loud and honestly wish he had taken more hits to die. Luckily, the bosses show up pretty often, so you get to see him again. Also, you can pick up a special item from each dungeon. I'll come back to that in just a second. I gotta break the seal.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Watch Zelda become a legend on your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda!
After rocks!
Which way to go?
Good time. Piggy hand. Reverse.
Zelda! Zelda! Zelda!
Legend of Zelda. A never-ending adventure new for your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda!
So yeah, the graphics are superb for an 8-bit console. Zelda was released in 1987 in the USA and Europe, further cementing the NES as top dog in the video game industry. The game was ahead of its time and the first to use a save feature with a battery backup. While it no doubt shows its pixelated age, I had a ball playing this, and in the end, that's what matters the most. Control is tight and responsive, if not a little too tight. I often have problems getting through doors and small openings quickly. This is not so much a complaint as it is a lack of accuracy and practice on my part. The button mapping couldn't be more intuitive unless it was the single button Atari 2600 controller. A is your sword, B is everything else. Enemies range from these annoying Hershey Kiss looking things to minotaurs to sea monsters. Their difficulty also changes accordingly. While it's almost impossible to lose to the dragon boss Aquamentus, you will find that the two-headed dragon Gleeok will take you back to the good old days of hurtling your controller through the TV. Naturally, the final boss Ganon proved to be the most challenging for me personally. Combat is straightforward. You start off with a wooden sword and a basic shield which can deflect rocks and arrows, but not much else. Different weapons have different effectiveness against certain enemies. Most of the weapons have a counterpart or upgrade which can be bought or found. For example, the wooden sword can be traded for the white sword and magical sword, which are more powerful respectively. The sword is your primary weapon. You must attack opponents head-on and you are vulnerable from the sides. You cannot move or strike diagonally. While the shield is great for deflecting most projectiles, you will lose hearts by coming into contact with an enemy. Link is also vulnerable to projectiles while swinging the sword, which personally I find to be a very interesting mechanic for such an early game in the NES's lifespan. Most of the other items do about what you would expect them to do. The candles light up dark rooms, the silver arrows are more powerful than the wooden ones, the ladder is used to cross gaps, the raft for water, etc. My favorite is definitely the boomerang, which can be used to pick up items and stun enemies, giving you some breathing room when things get too hectic. Not all of the items are mandatory, allowing you to finish the game without collecting them all. The required ones are in dungeons 1, 3, 4, and 5, so be sure not to miss the items in those. This, along with the non-linear order, are two aspects of the game that make the replay value of this title shoot through the roof. Further adding to the replay value is the addition of a second quest in which item and dungeon locations are different. This second quest is accessible immediately by entering the name Zelda into the registration screen. I wouldn't change a thing about this game as it is, but if there happens to be a sequel, I'd like to see him work in a 2D view once in a while. Something sort of in the style of Rambo. Rambo kicks ass. I can't wait to play through it again just to see what more I can find and how many alternate paths I can take. It's truly a shame that I waited all this time to discover such an amazing game, but you can bet I plan on making up for lost time. The Legend of Zelda for Nintendo gets 5 out of 5 shots.